Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Well, today we're going to talk about Amazon products. So I want to show you all products that I've purchased from Amazon for my houseplant collection. And I want to just show you how some of these products are working with my plants and how they're working in, my environment when it comes to my collection. Some of the products I purchased last year, so I had them for a while, so I can give you a good review. And other ones I just purchased last week. So I want you to tag along with me so we can test these products out, see how they work. And, maybe that can, be informative for you when it comes to, you shopping on Amazon. Because I know a lot of y'all shop on Amazon too. Amazon is like a way of life. I got like 2 Amazon credit cards, and it just prevents me from having to go out to Target, Walmart, and search for, little tidbits that I need when I can just get online and search for stuff that's hard to find, and it gets delivered directly to my door, So I'm an avid shopper when it comes to Amazon. So let's review some of these products. Let me show you some of these products and how they're working. If you're interested, stay tuned. So the reason why I have to buy a lot of products from Amazon is because of the challenges. It's exhausting. I mean, hey, when you have a plant collection, it's challenges. And for me, it's challenges throughout the year. Every season throughout the year brings about a new challenge. And we can run through them. Okay, wintertime, it gets cold. So, California does not have extreme cold weather, but it still drops down low enough to where it is not conducive for a lot of these tropical houseplants and aeroids, So also a big chore that I have to do during the wintertime is I have to pick and choose which plants that I have outside and decide which ones I'm going to bring inside for the winter. And the other ones, they just got to thug it out. But that is a cool little time because I get to experiment and see which plants can handle that cold weather outside, But moving on to springtime, pest management. That's just how nature works. In the springtime, these bugs, they breed. And if they were dormant inside of your house, they're going to come out. If they, they populate outside and you open the window, open the door, they come in also. So springtime, I have to deal with a lot of pest management. That causes me to have to buy products from Amazon as well. Summertime, I have to deal with the heat. So California sun hits a lot different. I'm gonna tell you now, the sun hits a lot different out here, and my plant room can go from a nice little 74 degrees in the morning and it'll just shoot up to 103 degrees in the afternoon. That is crazy. And I'm gonna tell you now, plants will stop photosynthesizing when it gets that hot. Soon as it gets above 90 degrees, I know for a fact that these plants are not photosynthesizing because I can walk over to, let's see, an anthurium, and it has a cardboard leaf, a nice sturdy cardboard leaf. Soon as it's that hot, that leaf is all flimsy because the plant is going through an exhaustion and it stopped photosynthesizing. So I have to buy products to correct that issue. And that's going to lead me to my first product, which is a UV window screen. I bought a UV window screen for my plant room because I'll show you in a minute, but I have a west facing window inside of my plant room. And as soon as the afternoon sun, as soon as it reaches that side of the house, it will just penetrate that room and it will just radiate, and the temperature can go up to 100 degrees in there at this point in time, So I needed to buy something to kind of block the UV and block a lot of those sun rays in the room because I'll tell you now, my alocasias have been suffering, and a lot of the plants just stop photosynthesizing for, I would say, a few hours out of the day until sunset, Okay, check this out, y'all. This is my west facing window inside of my plant room. This is not a good window. It's kind of ghetto. I don't think it's like double painted or anything, but this is the UV window screen that I put on. So yeah, this window it's not even double sided, I don't think. And I have to put this UV window screen, because when the sun penetrates this room, I told you before, it can go up to 103 degrees. Ever since I installed this UV window screen, I would see the temperature top out around 95, which is okay for me, you know, because 100 degrees, that's just too severe. 95, I think the plants can deal with that for, you know, a little portion of the afternoon. I did not do a good job installing this product, as you can see. Look at that cut right there. Because I did it late at night when I came home from work, and all of the air bubbles haven't been squeegeed out. But what happens is it comes in a roll, and what you do is spray the window down with water after you clean it. Then you kind of just put this on there and you squeegee out all of those air bubbles, and it will just cling to the window. So it's fairly easy to install, and it has been doing the trick. I do recommend this product if you're having the same issue that I'm having with, you know, if you have a window that's bringing in harsh light and it's causing the room to heat up, this definitely does the trick. And especially now, it's about to be afternoon, and this is what the parameters are looking like. So we had a nice little 75 degrees with 74% humidity, so we good. And when the sun starts to hit this window, the hottest it will get is about 95 degrees, because that does do a good job of blocking those UV rays, and you know, those UV rays kind of radiate the room and getting it up to 100 degrees. That was just crazy. So this product right here did the trick. The next product I want to show you are these white 6-inch nursery pots. They're plastic, they're 6-inch, and you get a large quantity with the purchase. So the fact that they are a good price and you get a large quantity of them, but they don't look so cheap for it to be a nursery pot. It's white and you get like a gray inside. So the reason why I'm showing you these is because I eventually want my plant room to be all white with like some wood textures. I feel like the plant room is small, so just everything being white and having, you know, that sterile vibe, it will make the room look bigger, and it'll be a, you know, more enjoyable place for me to chill in and to manage my plants in, you know. So I am slowly transitioning a lot of my plants into these white colored pots, either clear or white. And then I'll go ahead and give you a plant room, like an official plant room tour, you know. But let me show you how these look, because these do really well. And look at the drainage holes are just big enough. Leca does not fall out of here, so they work well for semi-hydro. I'll show you now. Some of my plants I kept in Leca when it comes to this, and I'll use one of these as a reservoir, and it fits perfectly in there to where, you know, I can take it out and flush it, or I can sit it in there and then have the nutrient water at whatever level that I want. So they work well for a semi-hydro situation, and they also look good. So let me show you a couple of plants that I have in these pots. So this right here is my Florida Ghost that I have in this white 6-inch nursery pot. And the good thing about this pot is, if I were to sell this plant, I wouldn't be mad about selling it in this pot, because it's only a plastic nursery pot. But it just being like a clean white color, I feel like it still looks good, you know? And then right here I have my Anthurium Luxuriant Radicans hybrid in the white pot. And that gives a clean look also. So, I mean, you know, I highly recommend these pots because you get a large quantity and they're big enough for various sizes of plants. You know, this is a large plant, but you know, this 6-inch pot is just the right size for a moss pole and this large plant. Okay, so the next product I want to talk about is this self-watering pot. This is 6 inches. It has like a reservoir with the wick that go up inside the pot. So I purchased this maybe earlier this year, and I've just now started using it. And I'll tell you why. This plant right here is El Choco Red. I recently got this one from Ecuagenera. So I had to go back and study this plant, because if you do not know, 2019 and 2020, this was my favorite plant, but I can never do well with it. And I think I'm finally starting to do well with it because I researched the El Choco region of Colombia. It is a very wet place. So this is a plant that can actually take being consistently moist, you know. So what I started to do was give this El Choco Red a chunky aeroid mix like normal, but I put it in this self-watering pot so that that chunky airy mix can stay moist consistently like the native region for this plant. And ever since then, this plant has been popping. I acclimated it from import, and this was the first leaf, and this new leaf is starting to do well, and it's actually putting out long aerial roots that are going back down into the media. So putting the El Choco Red in a self-watering pot has done very well for me. I feel like I finally got it right because this plant is just going and going. New leaves, I tell you. So if you're looking for some type of self-watering setup, if you have a plant that can take being consistently moist, then I recommend this. So, well, let's take a closer look at these. Okay, so if I haven't already told you, these self-watering pots come in a pack of 3. The third one is probably underneath my kitchen sink, but I'm using these 2 for now. So let's see, let me try to pick this up. So as you can see, it comes with the wick, and you just feed that through the holes underneath, and you try to place the wick in the middle of the pot when you're potting it up, and then it has that water reservoir, and you just sit it down in there like that. So this is my MYCORRIZAE. This plant does well when I keep it consistently moist, so that's the reason why I put it in this self-watering pot. Excuse the dirt from my fingers. And this is the type of plastic material to where all of these smudges are easy to wipe off. So, but yeah, that's my Philodendron MYCORRIZAE in the self-watering. I recently propagated this plant. I took the top of it off, so I have a whole new one. But it's bouncing back, and both of these plants acclimated very well, and they're doing well in these self-watering pots. So I highly recommend these self-watering pots if you like that white color, and you like the whole wick with the string situation, because I tell you, they're doing very well for me. Next product I want to show y'all is this radiator heater. This is what I use to heat up my plant room in the wintertime. The reason why I'm showing you this is because obviously I will not be using this anytime soon, but it might be going for a cheaper price on Amazon now that it is hot. So if you didn't know, these radiator heaters, they're filled with oil. You can hear that. So when you plug this in and turn it on, the coils inside of here will start to heat up that oil, and it will just radiate heat into the room, rather than one of those type of heaters that just blow hot air into the air, And if you use one of those that just blow hot air, your plants will probably get oh so crispy and just crisp up because it's just sucking all the moisture out of the air. This heater does not do that so much. Obviously, if heat goes into the air, some of the moisture can start to, disseminate, and you won't have as much of a humid environment. But this will not just completely dry out the air like those other type of heaters, or even the vents in your house, So the fact that this, slowly will bring the temperature up. I know sometimes it'll drop down to 60 degrees in the plant room during the winter, and I'll turn this on and it'll slowly bring it up to like a nice little 65, 70. So this works very well for me, and I feel like it's fairly safe, being that it's just oil heating up in here. It's not like, you know, a piece of cloth is gonna catch on fire from something like this. So it's much more safe than one of those heaters that just blow hot air. So I just wanted to let y'all know. Okay, so let me quickly show y'all this humidifier. So I bought this from Amazon and I really like it because it's like a tower style humidifier rather than one of those short blocky ones. And it comes with a remote and it has like a touch screen on here. And the reason why I like this one is because it stands about 2.5 feet tall, maybe 3 feet tall, and it's water all the way down. So when it comes to the water reservoir, it lasts for a long time. I can just have this humidifier going for a long time and I won't have to refill it for, you know, a really long time. But what's important for me when it comes to a humidifier is I do want to be able to change the direction of the mist, and I want to be able to load the water in from the top. I don't want to have to take a humidifier apart to refill it. The fact that I just get to flip this up, use a water bottle and pour the water in, boom, and then that's it, you know. And then it has all the normal settings on there to where, you know, you can have a timer, you can have it stop at a certain percentage and whatnot. So this is the LED reading where it is 72% humidity and 77 degrees in here, and that's gonna fluctuate. I have it on level 2 and I can, you know, put it at a higher level to where it puts out more mist. But I will say this is not very powerful to where it's just gonna just steam up the room a hell of a lot, but it's like just right for my situation, you know? Okay, let's get into something new that I just purchased. So last week, I purchased these little plastic moss poles. Very interesting. They come in these plastic sheets. And these are the directions here. But it's these plastic sheets that you roll out and you're supposed to form these into a moss pole. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make one together, and I wanna put my philodendron 69686 on one of these, and we'll talk about it later on the reason why I want to put the that particular plant on this type of a moss pole. So I can DIY me a moss pole easy, but I ain't got time for that. I'm not in the mood to DIY no moss pole, so I thought it was interesting to get something like this. I do like the concept of buying just plastic sheets and you form it into a moss pole. I feel like that is a very interesting concept of just buying them like this. And I feel like, you know, as time goes on, these can become very, very cheap. I don't know if the price was fair. I think I purchased these for about 15 bucks and you get 4 sheets. And I guess that was fair, but the whole concept of them coming in sheets like this, I feel like they will get cheaper, a lot cheaper over time, you know? So let's make one of these together. Okay, so this is the plant that we're gonna use for this little moss pole. So what the instructions say to do is fold this along the seams. If you can see, this is the seam right here. I want to start to fold this at the seam. And then I'm going to do the other side, fold this at the seam as well. So I didn't know that this has like a plastic protective film. So I'm going to peel the plastic protective film off. I should have did that first probably. So once you have this folded, this actually becomes very sturdy once you have it folded at the seams, you know? So what you want to do when you interlock it, if you can see these little hooks, you need to wrap them around the outside and put them in. You feel me? Do not interlock it from the inside. Wrap it around the outside and then put it in, and then do the same all the way down. And then that's how you construct this, you know? So as you can see, I constructed this. Not every one of these hooks are locked in, but the one at the top, the one at the bottom, and like a couple in the middle are, so it's fair enough. And as you can see, this can pretty much stand on its own without the wind blowing, but that is how you construct one of these. So let's take this plant and pot it up with this new little moss pole. Okay, so this right here is moss and cocoa squire. I'm gonna use that for the pole. This is soil for the pot, and we're gonna be using this terracotta pot. I believe this is about 6 inches, but it's fairly tall. That's fair. This is what the roots are looking like for this philodendron 69686. So this is a good time for me to plug another product from Amazon. This is MYCORRIZAE, like mushroom fungal nutrient. So the way that I use this MYCORRIZAE is I take the roots before I plant it up and I make sure that they're wet so that these granules can stick to the actual roots. And then I take a little pinch and I just start to sprinkle along the roots. And the fact that I just kind of sprayed these roots with water, those granules will stick to the roots, and then that's when I'll go ahead and pot up the plant. So I'll just take a little pinch and sprinkle it onto the roots. You don't need much, just a little, and there you have it. That's how I use the MYCORRIZAE. I'm gonna pour some soil down here too, so that it can, you know, fill the pot. Now I'm gonna stick the plant inside. Let's see which way I want to put it. Put it this way. So I'm gonna start taking some of this moss and putting it down this pole. I use a bamboo stick.
Okay, so in addition to the philodendron 69686 that we just set up together, we also have this philodendron majestic that I set up yesterday.
Okay, let's talk about this. So I do like this product. It's fairly easy to set up. The only small issue I had was trying to lock these fasteners in. It's a little bit difficult, but it's not that big of an issue. I could just use Velcro when I tie the plant to it to keep it together if it starts to come apart. But let's discuss this type of a moss pole. So there is a good chance that this type of moss pole is not gonna make these leaves get huge in the same way as a solid surface. This is all moss and cocos coir inside of here. The reason why I use cocos coir with the moss is so that it can have like some chunky elements in here. Therefore, the roots will kind of lock onto something and hopefully it'll trigger the plant into making bigger leaves. But if this plant roots into all of this moss, it probably will not feel the support of something solid. Therefore, it'll just keep growing, but the leaves may not get crazy bigger the same way as a pole like this. The fact that this plant has wrapped around this solid surface, it triggered the plant into making these really big leaves very quickly. I'm not sure if the same thing is going to happen with this, being that all of the moss inside of this pole is not solid. And a lot of people kind of don't understand that you know, these plants that like to climb, they are looking for something solid that they can have some support. The reason why I purchased this type of a moss pole is because it will make the plant easier to propagate. So this is a majestic right here, Philodendron majestic. I want to multiply this plant, so therefore I'm going to put it on this type of a moss pole, because if it starts to root inside of this type of moss pole, I can easily cut it at the node and the node will already have roots. So that is the main reason why I bought a moss pole like this. So it's the same situation with this Philodendron 69686. There's a chance that these leaves may not get extremely huge because this pole is not solid, you know. But I mean, like I said, I put a lot of cocos coir in here, so maybe that can mimic, you know, bark and mimic something solid, so that, you know, once it starts to root into, because I know this is a prolific climber. So this one is definitely going to root inside of this moss pole, like without a shadow of a doubt. And I just wanted to get bigger leaves, but overall, I do want to propagate this plant when it starts to get close to the top of this moss pole. And obviously I didn't put moss all the way to the top because I can just fill that in as the plant grows. So right now, I mean, there's no need to have moss all the way up here, you know. So I keep it close to where the plant is growing, and I make sure I tie the plant snugly to where it can start to recognize that something moist is behind it, and the roots will start to go backwards into this moss pole. So that's how that goes. And, you know, I'll see how this works. I'll see if this starts to produce bigger leaves in the same way that a solid moss pole does, you know. So that leads me into my last new product, and I really loved it. This is my new Amazon product, and it is another moss pole. So let me show you. These right here, my favorite new product. So they call this natural moss pole. As you can see, it's those bendable moss poles that you probably have seen me use. When I tell you, these are my favorite new moss poles. Like, I would use these if I want something to climb, if I want like one of my plants, you know, to climb, and I want the pole to actually look good. This is my new go-to. Let me show you how it looks. I think it comes in a package of 3, and they come folded up like this. And like I said, they are bendable, and they come with, you know, different types of ties along. Most of these moss poles come with some type of a tie or whatever. But these bendable moss poles, let me run through everything that I have with these type of poles. Okay, so this is a Philodendron lemon lime. It's not tied to this natural moss pole, but for some reason it likes to grow along the pole, and I don't even have to tie it, it'll attach. So you have to understand that these poles right here are pretty fluffy, but it's a solid surface. So, you know, these climbing plants like to attach to that type of a surface where it's fibrous but solid, you know? So the philodendron lemon lime is doing perfectly fine on that type of a moss pole. You have a philodendron silver sword on the natural bendable moss pole also. So that one's doing good. So if you haven't already seen this assortment, I use one of the natural bendable moss poles in here, and I have this Hoya australis lisa wrapping around it. So that bendable moss pole works for Hoyas too. So if you take a look at this Epiprimnum pinnatum, it's stuck to this natural pole. These bendable moss poles really, plants that climb really love it. It really connected to this pole early on, and it's just straight up attached. As you can see, I tied it once, and the rest of the way just attached to this pole because it's solid, but it's, you know, fibrous and fluffy also. So this right here is a top cut of my MYCORRIZAE, and I used one of these natural moss poles for it because I feel like it's gonna definitely climb onto this. So being that that's the top cut, I was like, let me get it on, you know, the new pole that I feel like works the best. So I feel like once it climbs to the top of this pole, that's gonna look really nice. So that's the MYCORRIZAE top cut on this Amazon pole that I purchased. So when it comes to these bendable moss poles, it's easy to shape into whatever shape that you want. And even the base of it is metal but wrapped in some type of twine. And that's bendable also, you know. So you can stick this into your potting medium. I probably wouldn't use this for semi-hydro, but you probably could. I don't think this will rot that easily, but it's, you know, it's bendable. You can make it straight. You can make it snake, do whatever, you know. So I do recommend these. These come in a pack of 3, and it is 26 inches tall. So this is my favorite Amazon product that I've been using. And when it comes to putting my plants on a moss pole, I'll probably be using this often, you know. When it comes to being able to extend a pole or whatever, these type of moss poles are still my go-to if I need to do an extension. But overall, I buy these already tall, and I like these the best.
All right, little sidebar. A couple people have been asking me, where's my dog? Because you don't see the dog every time I film a video. Well, this is the side of my house where my dog lives. He has his dog house. This is his personal area. He does live outdoors. He roams the backyard most of the day. But if it is severe weather, if it's too hot or too cold, I bring him indoors. When I'm filming, I don't bring him indoors because, you know, it's just me. It's just about me focusing on filming or whatever.
So when it comes to buying these products, you definitely got to work smarter, not harder. And I'll tell you, I've been doing a fairly good job of buying the right products so that I'm not stressed out by managing my plant collection. I've been doing really well with not stressing out, and I'm not getting burnt out on plants or whatnot. I definitely take a break, and you know, I definitely do things to where it makes it a lot easier for me to care for these plants. And then, you know, when I'm busy working or, you know, traveling and going out and doing whatever I do, everything is a lot more manageable. So that's all I got for you. Hopefully this is informative for you to buy, you know, certain products that work well for you. And stay tuned for what's to come. So like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm Dave. See you next time.